Here is why no one wants to fight the B-52 bomber. Do you remember when the defense industry could actually build airplanes? Not just build airplanes, but mass produce them in large numbers? Of course you don't. Over time, military aircraft have become so complicated, and the defense industry has become so impervious to outside forces, that you probably weren't born when the United States could actually build tough, reliable, and relatively low-cost airplanes. Look no further than the B-52, also known as the Buff, for Big, Ugly, Fat Fucker. Boeing built more than 700 of the bombers between 1952 and 1962, and the Air Force expects to keep flying the Buff until the 2050s. That means that a bomber first built during the Truman administration will still be putting warheads on foreheads about the time the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan reached their halfway mark. In comparison, the B-1 Lancer and B-2 Spirit, which first flew in the 1980s, are both expected to be retired in the early 2030s, more than a decade earlier than planned, according to Air Force magazine. NASA's Space Shuttle retired in 2011 after 30 years of service. The SR-71 Blackbird bowed out in 1990 after flying for 24 years. Meanwhile, the service would upgrade 76 B-52s and buy at least 100 new B-21 stealth bombers. The result in the 2040s would be a force of no fewer than 175 bombers, composed of factory-fresh B-21s and 80-year-old B-52s. Under any likely scenario, the B-52 endures. Simple, durable, and cheap to operate, the B-52s are the Air Force's long-range missile haulers. The military does not plan for the old bombers to penetrate enemy defenses during a high-tech war. They instead would launch cruise missiles from beyond the range of air defenses. To keep the old bombers viable, the Air Force is spending $32 billion replacing their TF-33 engines and, as part of the Combat Network Communications Technology upgrade, rewiring their bomb bays for smart weapons. Connect gives the B-52 a digital backbone, enabling aircrew to receive digital tasking messages and real-time intelligence and threat data from multiple sources, the Air Force explained. All crew stations on the aircraft will be digitally linked, enabling information sharing while in flight, greatly improving situational awareness and mission flexibility. The goal in replacing the engines is to improve the B-52's fuel efficiency by at least 20%, while maintaining its ceiling and takeoff performance. A B-52H with TF-33 engines can carry 35 tons of bombs and missiles as far as 4,500 miles without aerial refueling, at a top speed of 650 miles per hour. Back in the day, America built things to last. As the longest-serving combat aircraft in the U.S. military, the Buff proves that when it comes to bells and whistles, less is more. I'm not an engineer, but I'd have to tell you that the folks that built this airplane designed an aircraft that is pretty sturdy, said Air Force Major General Thomas A. Bussiere. Bussiere leads 8th Air Force, which is responsible for the service's bomber fleet. He was born in 1963, the year after the last B-52 was delivered to the Air Force. Originally intended to be America's nuclear bomber, the B-52 gained a new mission with the advent of GPS-guided weapons, close air support. The Buff has come to the aid of troops in contact in Afghanistan and Iraq, with a payload of 70,000 pounds of bombs and missiles. Although the B-52 has been updated over the years, the bomber's core technology dates back to the 1950s and 1960s, making it totally unlike the Air Force's newest aircraft, Bussiere told Task and Purpose on April 20th. Essentially, "We're working today with the 1960s versions of aircraft that have been modified, like other weapons systems in any service," Bussière said. "The fact that it has served so long and will continue to serve so long is a pretty remarkable statistic." One key to the B-52's longevity is that bombers pull fewer G-forces than fighters, which are designed to yank and bank, he said. Also, many bombers spent years on alert with Strategic Air Command, the forerunner to U.S. Strategic Command, so they were not flying many missions. Did someone say, "Let's play global thermonuclear war"? Despite its age, the B-52 is expected to continue to shoulder the nuclear mission along with the Air Force's newest bomber, the B-21 Raider. One reason why the B-52 will outlast the newer B-2 is that the U.S. government made a disastrous decision to only buy 20 bombers instead of the 132 B-2s it initially intended to purchase, said retired Air Force Lieutenant General David Deptula, Dean of the Mitchell Institute for Aerospace Studies. For too long, the Air Force and the U.S. Department of Defense has let arbitrary budget levels drive force structure. It's time to turn that equation around and have the national security strategy drive force structure, Deptula told reporters on Wednesday. With advancements in fighters and air defense systems, the B-52 can fire standoff conventional and nuclear weapons from a distance, without putting itself at risk, Bussière said. The B-1 showed how this can be done during the April 13th strike against Syria, by launching cruise missiles at targets while outside Syrian airspace. Opening a can of whoop-ass on the ISIS. The B-52 has also proven invaluable to commanders in Iraq, Syria, and Afghanistan, because it can carry a lot of fuel and a lot of weapons. So it can loiter for a long time and provide the firepower to get U.S. troops and their allies out of danger, he said. During its 2017 rotation to the Central Command Theater of Operations, the 23rd Bomb Squadron flew 400 consecutive sorties against ISIS and Taliban targets, before a maintenance issue canceled a mission, breaking the B-52's previous record for consecutive missions set during Operation Linebacker II in 1972, according to U.S. Air Force's Central Command. Not to be outdone, the 69th Expeditionary Bomb Squadron flew a total of 834 B-52 missions after arriving in theater in September 2017. The record-setting rotations are a testament to the robustness and ruggedness of the B-52. The work Air Force Materiel Command has done over the decades to maintain the bomber, and the dedication of airmen to keep the B-52 flying, Bussière said. If you ever have a doubt about the motivation or discipline of an airman, I'd offer you to go out on the flight line and look in the eyes of a maintainer launching a B-52, Bussière said. The B-52 warriors that rotated in and out of the Middle East absolutely crushed their mission.